Good evening, everyone. Pursuant to Section 84-1411 of the Nebraska statutes, the next regular meeting of the Board of Education of Douglas County School District 1 in the Board of Educational Service Unit number 19 will be held on Monday, June 1st, 2026 at 6 p.m. in the Teaching and Learning Center at the Teacher Administrative Center, 3215 Cummings Street. Please visit our website, www.ops.org. The agenda will be kept current and available for public inspection in the office of the Secretary of the Board of Education at the Administrative Building during regular working hours. Pursuant to Section 84-1412 of the Nebraska statutes, the public is hereby informed that a current copy of the Nebraska Open Meetings Act is posted in the Teaching and Learning Center on the north wall. Please stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you very much. Now, Vice President Snipes will lead us in the OPS vision, mission, and moonshot.
Thank you. So, OPS vision. Every student, every day, prepared for success. Our mission to prepare all students for success in college, career, and life. And the moonshot, all students will read on grade level by 2030. Thank you.
Inspirational comments. Thank you very much, Vice President Snipes. Dr. McFarland, roll call, please. Or Miss Aldierna, whichever one of you wants to do it.
Almanza. Erdenberger.
Present.
Bull. Here. Holman. Present. Radke. Magnuson. Present. Smith.
Here.
Snipes.
Here.
Thielen.
Here.
7 present.
Thank you very much. 7 is a quorum. I will entertain a motion to excuse the absences of Mr. Smith and Ms. Almanza. Ms. Almanza is attending the Westview graduation. No, I'm sorry, Buena Vista. Sorry, there's so many because why is the principal sitting here? Mr. Lee. Okay, the Buena Vista graduation along with our superintendent, and Mr. Smith did let us know that he was not going to be able to join us tonight.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Holman and seconded by Mr. Thielen. Roll call, please.
Erdenberger.
Aye.
Bull. Aye. Radke.
Here.
Magnuson. Aye. Snipes.
Aye.
Thielen.
Aye.
7 aye. Holman.
Aye.
7 aye.
Thank you very much. Motion passes. Up next is the school spotlight, and let's welcome our wrestling coaches from Bryan High School, North High School, and Westview High School.
Hello. Hi, my name is Jason Schuschnar. I'm here to speak on behalf of Kyrie Thomas Callaway, who was our state champ this year. Excellent young man, a coach's dream, very coachable, and we were very blessed to have him in our program for the past 3 years, and we get him for 1 more year. Hopefully we'll be back again next year with him. So excellent young man. Thank you for having us here.
I'm proud to be a student athlete in OPS. I'm especially proud to be an athlete at Omaha Bryant. I want to thank my coaches and teammates for helping me achieve my athletic goals. I also want to thank the teachers and administration staff for always looking out for me. I'm OPS proud.
Hi, my name is Dan Carlson. I'm the North High wrestling coach. This is my 8th year coaching at North High, and the last 6 years we've been invited to this board meeting, so I feel pretty good about that. Terrence came in as a freshman for us. Kind of had struggles the first part of the season, but once he kind of figured out high school, really came out strong, and was probably not a favorite going into the state tournament, but he really came and had a good showing, and made the coaching staff and everyone at North proud. Thank you for inviting us.
Hi, y'all. I'm Terrence. I'm a freshman. I just wanted to say thank y'all for inviting the OPS kids, and I'm glad to be here.
Hi, I'm Colton Wolf. I coach at Omaha Westview. I'm here for Kaylin Lyons. She's a 4-time state medalist, 3-time state finalist, 2-time state champion. And she's not only the face of girls wrestling around Omaha, she kind of made a name for herself around the state and the nation. And she'll be wrestling at Texas Women's University next year.
Hi, my name is Kaylin Lyons. Just very grateful to be here. A lot of support with me, my family, admin, and coach with me. So again, I'm just really grateful to be here just for this opportunity to represent Westview and OPS.
Do any of our board members have questions for any of our wrestlers? Mrs. Kratke.
I have to acknowledge the young man who was from North, I believe, that spoke so eloquently into the microphone. I could hear every word, and you're going to be magnificent as you grow up and go forward, the way you're able to talk in the microphone. You're not afraid of that, are you?
Nah, thank you.
I really like that.
Thank you. Anybody else got a question?
I had to say.
Ms. Full.
Thank you. I just want to say how impressed I am with all the athletes that came here today, and also for the wrestling coaches. I've seen North here, like you said, 6 different years in a row, so that's like super impressive, I just have to say. And the athletes that you produce at North and at Bryan and Westview are just fantastic. And I have to give a special shout out to Kaylin, because girls wrestling didn't start until a couple years ago, and you just completely blew it out of the water. I watch your wrestling videos on Instagram Reels, and they just like fill me with so much like girl power. So it's just amazing what you're doing. We're so proud of each and every one of you, and I look forward to seeing you wrestle in Texas and to see where the other athletes' careers take you. Thank you.
Vice President Snipes.
Thank you, President Erdenberger. So any of you can answer. I hope all of you do. I'm curious about just mindset and growth. And so did any of you ever have moments where maybe you kind of doubted yourself? And if so, how did you push yourself through that? Oh, somebody gonna answer. Nobody had any doubts.
My junior year, I faced an injury right before the season started, so I missed about a month. New Year's, and it was pretty hard. I faced some losses the previous year. That was very kind of unexpected, not a good way in my mind to start my season off, and I kind of faced another loss to her before districts. But I think the thing that kept me going was just giving myself a lot of grace. Coming back after injury is hard, and I learned a lot of lessons. Now, like going in the future, I know I need to still find ways to put in the work, even though I'm injured. Still find ways to get it. So again, just giving myself grace, being patient with myself. Win my first state title, so that was a great moment.
This year, my team thing was mindset over everything, and I think that I just really needed that because last year, my sophomore year, I went in semifinals and I lost because I didn't have the right mindset. So I just really used this mindset over everything thing, and I got first this year. That's it.
No, I never doubted myself. I always had confidence in my skills, so I would never doubt myself. I always went in there with the right mindset and the confidence that I'll win.
How'd you get yourself like that?
Just practicing since I was 3 and working hard.
Thank you.
I spoke with a couple of you ahead of time. I taught at North High School, which has a long, lovely lettered history of wrestling. And I mentioned that when I was there, I don't know if you were there at the time, Mr. Lee, when Brittany Taylor was there, and she was the first girl to wrestle, but there wasn't girls wrestling. So she was a girl wrestling with the boys, and I'm just so excited. I mentioned this to you earlier. I'm so excited to see that not only do we have a whole sport for women, as Ms. Full said, but apparently college sports, and they want you to be there. In the University of Texas, that can't be an easy gig to get, so congratulations on that. Now, Terrence, you're just a sophomore, so you probably don't know where you want to go. Huh? Freshman. Well, then he has no idea. Well, maybe he does.
just
He's
a
the one with
freshman.
all the confidence, so he's probably already planning on Iowa or something. Where's our young man from Bryan? What are your plans? Huh?
I don't really know yet. I'm not gonna lie.
You're just waiting for, just waiting for all the letters to come
Yeah.
in? Okay, good. Keep us posted. Okay. Well, we are so proud of you. You make OPS very proud. Coaches, thank you. Families, thank you for all the time you've spent since some of them were 3 years old, helping them be such wonderful athletes and young people. And why don't you guys come through, say hi to us. You'll get some moonshot swag representing everybody we'll be reading by 2030, and then we'll take a picture. Well, that was really fun. We're going to miss having students for the summer for School Spotlight. Wah, wah. We have biathletes. Thank you very much. Now we'll have superintendent and board comments. Our superintendent, as I said, is attending the Buena Vista graduation. So assuming that Dr. Chisholm doesn't have any comments? I should have. Do we have board member comments tonight? Dr. Holman.
Thank you, President Erdenberger. I want to extend a very gracious thank you to all 9,000 of our employees of the Omaha Public Schools District for everything that you've done over this past year for our students, for our families, for yourselves. We hope that you are able to enjoy the summer, take some time for yourself. I know that some of you may be teaching summer school, and we're very thankful for you to dedicate your time to that as well, but also encourage you to take some time to unwind and relax and enjoy your own families. I just wanted to share that I had the most amazing time delivering service awards to our employees of the school district. I was able to visit, I think, every single one of my schools to present awards, particularly to the employees who have 20-plus years with the district. It was really great to see some surprises on faces who had no idea that they had been with the district so long. It was really great to deliver to a couple of our building engineers who were out on the lawn actually cutting grass and came in and just really excited to be recognized as well. So thank you all for everything that you've given to the Omaha Public Schools. And then also I want to send a great congratulations to all of the graduates for 2026. We are so excited for you all and to see what everyone will be doing with their lives. Like President Erdenberger said, we have a graduation tonight. I believe we have one the rest of this week for our high schools. And so if you're able to get out and go celebrate our students, I encourage you to do so. And then also, happy last 2 days to everybody. You know, I just think that people are exhausted, and that is expected. I keep hearing a lot of people refer to May as Maycember. I had never heard that term before, but I understand it very well. So again, thank you all for your service, for your time, for your love, for your care, and your dedication to all of our students and our families. Appreciate you all very much.
Thank you, Dr. Holman. Mr. Thielen?
Thank you, Ms. Erdenberger. I will second the joy that comes with handing out those long service certificates. It's really nice to get out and recognize our teachers that have been with the district and other staff that have been with our district for a very long time, and we really appreciate their service. I also just wanted to preview, I know some of our public commenters tonight are here on technology use. Over the last few weeks, I think we've all gotten a few more than usual emails about that topic. It is something that has been on my radar and the policy committee's radar for probably a little over a year now, maybe 2 years. And we've got some policies that are under consideration. We've got some other things that have taken our time and focus, but I really do welcome those emails and continuing to get all of the context around how parents and students are seeing use and are feeling about how we are presenting as OPS the use for our students. So just wanted to say thank you for that input and keep it coming.
Thank you, Mr. Thielen. Mrs. Kratke?
I too want to comment about going to the schools with the awards. It was really surprising how happy they were to pose with the award in front of them, and the principal took pictures. And we never did that before. At least I didn't think we did as board members, but I just loved doing it. It meant a lot to them. They've seen us around, I know, but that was so much fun. I was just floating like that. The only school that did it differently was Burke, and he likes to give all the awards out at his award ceremony, and I remember that from many years past. But otherwise, it was just fun. I hope you all get to do that again in the future, because you're really going to have fun doing it.
Ms. Magnuson?
Thank you. Everybody here echoing my comments. It's like we talked beforehand, but we haven't. I wanted to say, yes, I had a wonderful time delivering year-end years of service certificates. At President Erdenberger's suggestion, I had one class count to 20 with me in front of their teacher, which truly delighted her. Another class spontaneously shouted, "I'm so proud of you, Mrs. Parker." It was really wonderful. I did not get to do it last year. I vow to do it every year from now on. So we've come to the end of the school year officially. Congrats to our incredible OPS graduates. I will speak to Westview tomorrow. Congrats to our dedicated kids who are still on their journey to graduation, to our families supporting them on their way, and to our thoroughly spent teachers and staff. You have accomplished a full, busy, hopefully happy school year. Thank you for your patience, your creativity, your guidance, the countless unseen moments where you made learning feel possible. Your impact lasts far beyond that classroom. And now for students and families, summer is calling, it's time to rest, recharge, and hopefully I really encourage you to pick up a book that sparks your curiosity or transports you somewhere new. Reading keeps your mind open, it keeps your imagination active, it keeps your confidence strong even while the school door is closed. One of my favorite quotes is now on my email. It says, "I have lived 1,000 lives, and I've loved 1,000 loves. I've walked on distant worlds, and I've seen the end of time because I read." And I have it framed in my house. It really is truly true. So please pick up a book this summer, maybe two. I will be mandating reading time for my kids this summer. The 13-year-old is going to resist me, but please read this summer because all of you, we want to read on grade level by 2030. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Full?
Thank you. I first wanted to start by saying thank you to Mrs. L at Omaha Virtual School. She invited me for a tour after they've been in their new building for a year, and it's been really, it was a good experience for me to kind of see what that actually looks like because that building, she teaches technically K through 12th grade, and I'm not sure if there's another building in OPS that teaches K through 12th grade. So it was really impressive. It was really cool to see what she did with the space. And I also had a really good conversation with her about technology use because obviously in virtual school you definitely need to use technology. So I just wondered what that looked like in practice for those virtual school students, and that was a really good conversation that we were able to have as well. So I wanted to say a big thank you to Miss L. I also wanted to talk a little bit about the graduations. I went to Omaha Virtual School graduation as well, and they've also had students in there since they were in kindergarten. So it's really an interesting concept, and it really expanded my mind and yeah, just gave me a new outlook on our alternative school programs because I have most of the alternative school programs in my district, and they're just an amazing tool that we have to properly service students who aren't, totally successful being in a traditional classroom. So just want to say a big shout out to Omaha Virtual School and to the alternative school programs in my district. I also went to Blackburn's graduation, which the students who spoke touched me completely, and the hardships that they've been through in order to get to where they are today is just, it never ceases to amaze me, and it honestly reminds me a lot of myself. So it was good to hear from those students, and one of them was an 18-year-old single mother who graduated late, but she's going to be a hyperbaric engineer, so she wants to work on pipelines under the water. I was like, how did you even get there? But our students continue to shoot for the stars, and I'm just so impressed with them every single day. I still have 2 more graduations to go. It's my favorite time of the year. I couldn't be more happy to see all those kids crossing the finish line. And it really is a shout out to OPS and what we are capable of doing when we are supportive of our students. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. Vice President Snipes?
Thank you, President Erdenberger. I enjoy this time of the year too. And as we just come to the end of the year, I want to make sure that I do congratulate our students, our teachers, And just recognizing that success doesn't always look the same for all students, and just recognizing that some have to come over a little bit more than others, and just celebrating success even beyond just like test scores, right? And one thing I believe OPS is doing well is really just building out our work around that moonshot goal. The more I research it, the more I hear, the more I'm convinced and confirmed that we're really doing the right thing. And so I'm excited for, of course, rest this summer for our teachers, but also just what happens when we come back later on this year. I know that there are still things that we have to work on around attendance, literacy, belonging, and all of that. But I know from my conversations with the superintendent, from conversations I have with staff, from the thousands of questions that I ask all the time, that we're doing everything that we can to make sure that students feel supported, that they feel connected. So just very excited, looking forward to just continued growth. Congratulations to all of our graduates. I have 2 graduations I get to do this week, and I'm very excited about that too. So thank you.
Well, everybody already said it all so eloquently, so thank you for expressing it. I think hopefully people realize that it's very much a united front in terms of what our objectives and goals and appreciation is. I was just going to remind everybody that our summer schools have libraries that are open. So if they get past the first 2 books that Ms. Magnuson mentioned and they're wondering where to get another one, our summer schools libraries are open, and of course we have a partnership with the OPS, Omaha Public Library as well. So there's nothing like a good book to read when you're in the basement hiding from a tornado, right? Make sure you keep a supply down there. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody. And there's nothing that feels as good as the last day of school. I miss it every year. Look, somebody highlighted that public comment and recognition is next. Only because I always forget. So let's move on to public comment. Tonight we have 7 speakers who have submitted requests to speak forms. The board has adopted policy 8346, which limits individual speakers to a maximum of 5 minutes, but you can do less if you want to. Dr. McFarland will let you know when you have 1 minute remaining and when you have 30 seconds remaining. We understand that people have strong feelings about issues that may be raised, so we ask that you refrain from applause or other outbursts during their comments. If the subject of your public comments is related to a specific student or staff member, please do not identify the student or staff member and instead provide that information to Dr. McFarland. She will assist us in looking into your concerns. Pursuant to the requirements specified in Nebraska Revised Statute 84-1412, unless the requirement is waived for security reasons, please state and spell your first and last name, state your current address, and let us know if you are here representing any organization before you begin your public comment. There are no requests for a waiver this evening. In addition, we ask that you remain seated until called to the podium. Please remain at the podium and do not approach the board table. If you have any materials to distribute, please let me know, and Dr. McFarland will come and get them from you. As a final note, public comment is set aside for you to comment on matters which you wish to present to the board. Board members will not respond during public comment. If you would like to discuss anything with a member of the board, please feel free to contact us or the appropriate member of the staff directly. It is now 6:29 p.m. and our first speaker is Ms. Elena O'Connell.
Good evening. Good evening, President Erdenberger, Vice President Snipes, and members of the board. My name is Elena O'Connell. That's spelled E-L-E-N-A. O''Connell, and I live at 407 South 49th Street. I am a former OPS student and Central High graduate, and now I'm an OPS parent of a 3rd and 5th grader. We love our children's teachers, staff, and school community. I am here today as a member of a group of parents and families who are working together to raise awareness and share our concerns about the use of one-to-one devices in school settings, particularly at the elementary level. I am not anti-tech by any means. I think tech has a critical role in our society and in our education system, but I think it needs to be used with care and intentionality. Currently, OPS students are assigned a personal iPad device, and elementary students are required to do digital learning minutes on several apps like Amira, Lexia, and Success Maker. While these minutes are not graded, completing them is tied to participation in Fun Friday and other incentives like afternoon recess and celebrations. My children have different learning styles, and digital learning has not been a good fit for either of them. Earlier in this school year, I listened to my third grader with speech delays read out loud to Amira at home and saw how the app did not understand what she was saying. She was repeating the same phrase correctly over and over again, but Amira would respond, "Try that again." She began to cry and said she hates doing Amira, but she has to get it done so she doesn't miss doing things with her friends. When she qualified for a speech IEP, I requested for her to be excused from Amira as it was causing her stress and anxiety through no fault of her own. And it was not instilling a love of reading. It was exactly the opposite. She was excused, but she was also then given additional minutes on another app. My fifth grader is a high ability learner who participates in GATE and other accelerated enrichment programs like Fermi. I watched him do a Lexia unit on comma placement, and I was shocked at the amount of time it took for him to complete a minimal amount of tasks. Even though he read the paragraph in a few seconds, he had to wait for the passage to be read out loud to him at a very slow pace, view numerous animations before the next button would populate, listen to the voice slowly read a sentence, use his finger to drag a comma to the right place, and then listen to it read it out loud again so he could advance. These tasks can be completed by hand on a worksheet in minutes, but each Lexia unit can take anywhere from 20 to 50 minutes to complete. This gamification of the learning process puts his brain on an endless dopamine loop designed to engage through entertainment and stimulation. This time could be used to be spent writing by hand, doing further enrichment activities, engaging in group projects, individual reading, etc. Numerous studies have reinforced what teachers have known for decades. Handwritten work improves comprehension and reinforces understanding of the material by engaging multiple areas of the brain, unlike digital work. If these digital learning apps were truly effective, we should be seeing increased reading and math proficiency scores in OPS and all across the country. Unfortunately, that is not the case. Study after study is showing our country is experiencing what some experts are calling a learning recession. Just last week, the Educational Opportunity Project through Stanford University released an extremely troubling report showing that almost everywhere across America, students are performing worse than their peers were 10 years ago. Reading scores are down in 83% of school districts, math down in 70%. These declines started before COVID, and they exist across all socioeconomic, racial, and geographic divides. In this study, Nebraska scores fell nearly 2 grade levels in math and reading between 2015 and 2025. While this problem is layered,
1 minute.
the timeline is aligned with the introduction of personalized school laptops and tablets, and it is at a cost of billions in taxpayer dollars given to big ed tech. In addition to my concerns about the digital learning apps, OPS iPads have the screen time monitoring turned off, and it cannot be turned on without a network administrator. Despite district firewalls, students have figured out how to access YouTube and other restricted websites through links in IXL and other preloaded apps. In my household, we monitor access to apps and websites and have set
30 seconds.
time limits for children's devices, yet I have no idea how much screen time my children spend at school. I'm pleading and urging the board to make bold changes to our tech policy and at the very least provide an opt-out option for parents and families who do not want their children spending hours on screens every day to complete digital learning minutes. We have amazing teachers here in OPS. Let's allow them to utilize their skill set and reduce the amount of digital learning requirements to meet our moonshot goal of all OPS students reading on grade level by 2030. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker will be Ms. Leah Baker.
Good evening, President Erdenberger, Vice President Snipes, and members of the board. My name is Leah Baker, Leahbaker, and I live at 1529 South 122nd Street. I have one daughter in OPS, and my youngest daughter will start kindergarten in August. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today about the role of technology and digital curriculum in our classrooms, particularly at the elementary level. I am connected to an expanding group of parents who would like to see significant changes made with the use of educational technology in OPS schools. We can agree that we all have the same goal, to help all children in OPS learn, grow, and thrive. There's a national trend among schools and districts to opt out of technology in the classroom, stemming from a recent study that found this generation of children is the first in history to be less cognitively capable than their parents in the areas of memory, attention, executive function, and overall IQ. Last month, the second largest school district in the country voted unanimously to limit screen time for all grade levels, with a focus on eliminating screen time entirely for elementary students. Since January, Iowa, Alabama, Tennessee, Utah, and Virginia have passed legislation at the state level to reevaluate technology use in education, instruction, and assessments. If we hope to achieve our 2030 moonshot, we need to also adapt quickly and return to the basics. Literacy comes from deep knowledge. It does not come from being trained on a tech tool. We have been observing our math-loving second-grade daughters struggle with taking math tests on an iPad. During the test, she has to copy the problem onto a whiteboard or a separate notebook that is not reviewed by her teacher. The digital learning platform does not catch when our daughter types the letter O instead of the number 0 in her answer, so she misses the whole question. It doesn't see that she failed to scroll down far enough to complete part B of the question, and the platform cannot check how she worked the problem on a scratch piece of paper, if she did at all. So an entire year has gone by and no human has graded my daughter's math tests, along with numerous other subject tests. Because of this, my daughter, the teacher, and me, the parent, we're not able to see where she's making mistakes and how to help her. We love OPS teachers. In fact, my daughter cannot decide which teacher at her school is her favorite because she loves them all so much. We trust OPS teachers' expertise to teach our students, design the lessons, develop the assessments, and give feedback on those assessments. Technology is getting in the way of teachers really knowing their students, their abilities, and where they need help. Teachers are the reason students learn and love to come to school, and teachers will be the ones who teach students how to think and learn, how to solve problems, develop critical thinking skills, build empathy, and work with others in the real world. If students learn these skills, they will also be able to use any tech tool that comes along upon graduation, just like we adults do today. So we're asking for your help. We're asking you to study this topic, talk to teachers and parents and students, and pass a resolution this summer for changes to take place immediately. This is not a teacher or a principal level problem. This is a district level problem that requires a district level solution. It is no one's fault that technology has taken over the classroom. However, now it is all of our responsibility to address it together. When we first started this advocacy for change in digital learning, many people said, OPS moves too slowly, it's not going to happen for a long time. We do not believe that to be true. We know the board can help us make changes immediately and work toward further changes in the next year. So we encourage you to read about digital learning from a variety of sources and talk with parents and teachers across our district. We are not anti-technology, we are pro-children. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker will be Angie Holliday. Oh dear, I can't read the last name, sorry. She'll tell us when she gets to the podium.
Good evening. My name is Angie Holliday Okumu, AngieHolliday-Okumu. I live at 15314 Amy Plaza. We have opted our children into OPS, and we love the dual language program. We love the teachers. And thank you for the hard work you do in this board. A lot of work. I'm here tonight to voice my concerns related to the manner, frequency, and purpose of school iPad use. As a child psychologist and neuropsychologist, a parent of 2 elementary-aged children, and a former occupational therapist, I have grown increasingly concerned about the use of iPads as a medium for learning. I'm going to start with voicing some concerns and then some questions. I emailed this to you, so it's probably maybe familiar to some of you, and thank you for the responses I got. The concerns I have, as a general rule and based on my own search of peer-reviewed articles and meta-analyses, there seems to be shockingly little research on the impact of iPad or technology use in the classroom on learning, school performance, attention, and social engagement, especially given that they've been implemented widely and from the beginning of children's school careers. In fact, it seems that all research I find lamented the overall lack of research, and that includes studies from as recently as this year. Attention. I'm very concerned about the ability of children to get off task while on the iPad. As a neuropsychologist, I assess for ADHD, and I'm always just kind of attentive to the role that iPads and electronics might play on attention. I think it's unrealistic to expect teachers to know what is happening on every child's screen while they're also teaching. How can we expect children with frontal lobes that have years of development yet to do to be able to remain on task, despite the temptation of other fun things to explore with a simple swipe of the finger? I tried to find research on iPad use related to ADHD, symptoms and diagnoses with little luck. Digital literacy, based on my own anecdotal experience, aside from a one-segment day in which children are given handouts related to how to care for their iPads, from which, as far as I remember, just started this year, there's very little to no time spent teaching children digital literacy and safety before giving them iPads, let alone on an ongoing basis. What are we then teaching them about how and when iPads can be useful versus when kinesthetic learning or book learning may be more appropriate? What are we teaching them about safety and about identifying friends? Are we expecting them that the sole responsibility be on the parents, who themselves may not have a great deal of digital literacy? What are we doing to teach parents and caregivers who may not be all that technologically savvy about digital literacy? And then the next one is social skills. As a psychologist, this is something also always top of my mind. We are undoubtedly well aware of young children being part of the anxious generation. And I see an incredible number of young children who are very anxious. Many cite bullying via social media, being ostracized via social media, and feeling generally disconnected as a source of their anxiety. In elementary school, children's occupation is largely play. We know and understand that it is through play that children learn social nuance, turn-taking, conflict resolution, improved coordination, and proprioceptive and body-based learning. How then are we ensuring that children get the play they need? I often hear that children play social games, such as, thank you, Prodigy, in the classroom, which, while it might have its place, does not in any way replace and barely even supplement social learning opportunities. My questions are then, what kind of ongoing research have we done for our children in OPS related to the use of personal electronics? What are we planning, or is there a plan for digital literacy and teaching parents how to help support children in their learning? I go to a dual language program and love it, but I think
30
that
seconds.
adds an extra layer of complication to this. How are we considering our families who have little exposure to electronics? I appreciate that the iPads had to start because of the COVID pandemic, but what can we do now? What is the path forward? And I look forward to finding any ways to decouple electronics from our educational system.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Jessica, and although I can read her last name, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. I think it's Greisel. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Jessica Grissel. It's spelled Jessica.
Brisel. I want to say good evening, President Enberg, Vice President Snipes, Superintendent Ray, and the members of the board. I live at 1811 North 34th Street. We recently moved here from Southern California where my children attended a Waldorf education. They went there from 3rd grade until my oldest is now in 7th grade. We are very limited on tech. I am here speaking as there is an alternative. Coming here and seeing the direct impact of the iPads being handed to my children immediately and how it deters learning in my younger daughter who is in 3rd grade, we have decided to pull her from OPS and homeschool because we are unable to have the conversations with the teacher. When I approached them about the iPad being given with games and other things that we don't allow, my daughter was called out to the class and said that because of her mother, they are no longer allowed to play that. So we offered alternatives such as crocheting. My daughter brings a physical book every day, but that is in the 3rd grade level. I'm more here to speak about the middle schoolers. As we know from Jonathan Haidt in The Anxious Generation, experience, not information, is the key to emotional development. Our middle schoolers from 9 years old to 14 years old go through the same developmental leaps as an infant to 4 years old. That means that in that time, they are growing an exponential amount. We are giving them freedom to access almost everything when they really need to be accessing wonder and learning things through experience. My daughter is in 7th grade. She is an avid reader. She brought 3 bookcases worth of books from California, and she spends her days reading. She's also on the track team and volleyball. She's very active in every aspect of education. However, she has struggled because every single thing that they do is on the iPad. She has requested for each of her teachers to give her physical papers because she's able to access and use those papers in a more literate way, and she's able to turn in true work that shows her diligence. Another thing I wanted to point out as coming from another district, another place, is that I have spoken to several families. I joined the PTO. I will be the vice president of Lewis and Clark PTO next year, and I've talked to several families who have noticed that their middle schoolers, although honor roll students, are unable to spell or write sentences out like physically. They can use their iPads, they can use their phones because there's autocorrect, but we are not giving them the tools. If the mission for OPS is to prepare all students for success in college, career, and life, we are failing. These children are moving into adulthood very quickly, and unfortunately, they do not have the basic understanding of how to operate in a social way and how to operate in a basic level. Yes, technology is included in everything that we do, just like when we were in school and they told us we couldn't have calculators in our pockets, but we do. I feel like it's kind of like that. However, you have to know the base of the equation to put it into your calculator to even get the math solved, which is what we need to do for literacy. We need to give these children the base, have them write it down, see their corrections with pen and paper so that they can see where they need to work and what they can do better. I do believe that there is a possibility to make changes. Like I said, we have decided to pull our middle daughter from school to homeschool until middle school so that we can give her that love and care that comes with that Waldorf education, because I just don't see it coming with the tech. I see our teachers getting their grades and them sending them to us, but they have no idea what's going on. My daughter is stressing out every single day because she had a hard time learning how to submit paperwork through the iPad because there was no education given to her. I know it's weird to have a 13-year-old that doesn't know how to use an iPad, but it happens, and I think that, just not having the education or not giving them the opportunity to succeed in school on their own without autocorrect and without those tools, it's going to be a problem in the future. We're seeing a lot of we're seeing a lot of younger adults unable to process real emotions to other people, and that is coming from an electronic childhood. We need them to have real experiences so that they can have real relationships in the future, including their schoolwork, their friends, their future jobs. We are raising adults, and we want them to be able to function in an adult world without having to rely on electronics. We want them to be able to have conversations with each other without having to rely on emojis. We need to give them the opportunity to learn these things while we are here watching them. Unfortunately, at home, we can't control what everybody is doing on their iPads, but in school, we can control what's happening. And by doing that, we need to remove it as much as possible to give them that freedom to do it in person. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next public comment will be from Morales Felipe.
Good evening, President Endenberger, Vice President Snipes, members of the board. My name is Felipe Morales. I am Jessica's husband. We live at 1811 North 34th Street. Vice President, earlier you said that success looks different to different people.
I'm sorry, could you spell your name?
Oh, I'm
For the
sorry.
record. Sorry.
FELIPE-MORALES. Yeah, success comes different to different people. I grew up in South Central, and I was not very good in school. I struggled a lot with gang affiliation and being a product of my environment. I learned how to run the streets quicker than I learned how to do math and learn history. One thing that saved me was art. When I got to high school, I got very involved with art because of my teacher. That was one thing that kept me going to school. That's what I looked forward to. But having that relationship with that teacher, he opened my eyes to everything else that had to do with education. That helped me get through high school. It helped me graduate. Here, our third grader is learning art through YouTube in her class. Art is supposed to be an extension of yourself. It's supposed to be something where you can release your feelings, your emotions. I don't think you could learn that through a screen. The physical motion of someone painting and seeing how they paint, how their whole body moves to be able to express anger, sadness, joy, you can't learn that through a screen. She spends most of her time learning things through a screen. At that point, like, why is the teacher there? Just to click next? I don't see what the purpose of her even being there is at that point. Everybody complains about how everyone wants to get paid more, not just in schools, but also in jobs. But more and more electronics and technology are taking over these jobs. One thing, though, that I don't think a computer could do is make a painting showing you how sad it is, or write you a poem that's true, not generated by AI. It's really sad for me as an artist. I've been an artist since professionally for 20 years. I went to school for art. And yes, like they said, technology does have a place. I served in the Army for 6 years, and technology really did help us out there. However, when I heard about my child learning how to paint or draw through YouTube, man, that really hurt my heart. We're a very artistic family. We play music, we sit together and we paint, we draw. Even our 3-year-old, she sits and she paints with us. She's already being able to express that. But I think by someone physically showing her and explaining to her how it's an emotion in person in real life, I think it's something that we're losing. I thought that art would stay here forever, and it should, but we're going to lose it if we're going to give it up to technology. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And our sixth speaker will be Miss Lori Moss.
Lori Moss, LORIMOSS, 2006 Lakewood Drive, Papillion, Nebraska, 68046. Good evening. I was encouraged by the board's last meeting regarding the district's summer reading plan and the Moonshot Reading Goal. This recalled to my mind 2 books I would like to share which are excellent summer reading options. The first book is the Bible. The Holy Bible carries themes of forgiveness, resiliency, youth movements, and equal access. Most Bible scholars agree most of Jesus' disciples were either teenagers or in their 20s. And all have equal access to God through the blood of Jesus. Interestingly, Jesus' inclusion of all ethnic groups and the elevation of women frequently angered the political leaders at that time. The second book I would like to discuss is the Bible Recap by Tara Leigh Cobble. It is a concise and chronological one-year guide to reading and understanding the entire Bible. Reading the Bible can be a daunting task for anyone, especially beginners, without some sort of scholarly guide to assist along the way. There are many other guides like this, not just the Bible recap. Some of them are called commentaries. What I find intriguing about Tara Lay's book is the daily God Shot. At the end of her daily teaching, she highlights the attributes and characteristics of God discussed on that particular day. While forging through difficult scripture, it doesn't take long to realize that God is good, He loves us, and He has a good plan for our lives. It is the devil who steals, kills, and destroys, and does not want children reading on grade level so that they are less likely to read the Bible and discover the good plan that God has for them. A wise pastor recently said, "If we don't have God in the midst, then we are wasting our time." The pastor refers to this as the God factor. Thankfully, yesterday, our 45th through 47th president, Donald John Trump, rededicated our nation to God, energizing renewed vigor for citizens, especially the youth, to read their Bibles and pray forth the coming revival and reformation in our great nation. Proverbs 22:6 reads, "Direct your children onto the right path, and when they are older, they will not leave it." Notice it does not say, "Let your children follow the paths which lead to death, destruction, and harm." In conclusion, these two books are wonderful additions to any summer reading plan. With The God Shot and The God Factor, The Moon Shot has a 100% chance of success and before the 2030 timeframe. Thank you, Board, for your time and service and for allowing me to speak.
Thank you. And our final speaker will be Michelle Rogers.
All right, Michelle Rogers, MICHELLERODGERS, 15565 Adams Street, Omaha, 68137. So I'm just here, I'm just gonna stand here and just speak very quickly about so basically, recently Iowa Senate File 496 became the center of a major legal battle over what items actually need to be in public schools and the school libraries. After a few years of court challenges and even temporary injunctions, the United States Court of Appeals for the Eighth Circuit vacated the block against the law, allowing Iowa to continue enforcing the protections. This is related to the inappropriate sexual content that is available in schools. So now is the time for this state to also do the same thing, because this is not about banning ideas or anything else like that, but it is about setting age-appropriate boundaries for the children. We already see boundaries in every other area, like there are movies that are rated, so then there are certain restrictions put on those movies. Certain ages can't go into those movies. We restrict even TV content. We place warnings on music. There's so many other things that we do. And so why should schools be any different? So public schools, they are funded by taxpayers and trusted by parents with the care and education of the children. So parents should not have to wonder whether or not sexually explicit items is sitting on the shelf under the banner of inclusion or education. And let me be clear, this is not about, attacking anybody. This is not about silencing anybody, but this is about every single student needs to be respected as well. And I know that you guys do respect your students. But respect also means that acknowledging that children, not everybody's on the same page. Not everybody is learning at the same pace. Not every single person is emotionally ready to handle this content that is available in the schools. There's a difference between teaching students how to think and exposing them to graphic sexual items, especially books that many parents would consider inappropriate for minors. A school library is not meant to contain every book, every possible book ever written. And so the real question is not whether limits exist, it is where those limits should be drawn. And parents across the country, and especially Iowa, are saying that the line has gone too far. And so, and I do know that several parents that I do personally know, whenever they did raise concerns, and unfortunately it was, I mean, honestly, it was in OPS, it was in other public schools as well, so I'm not only speaking about here, okay? But they did end up pulling their kids, because whenever they did try to bring it up to the teachers or anything else like that, basically the school, basically the teacher actually would call them out and say, well, we can't read this book because this student is, their mommy said that they couldn't read it, or their parents are saying it's a big no-no. So they were publicly ridiculed for not wanting to read their, or for taking a stand, I should say, and trying to talk to the teachers about, well, I know that this book is being read, but but could my child read this book instead? Instead, they were, and I do know that the students were actually pulled out as well. So in closing, you know what? So Iowa took a stand and said that schools should focus on all the academics, going back to the basics. And so, and whenever I was in school, which was a long time ago, I'm not going to say when, but you know, it was about math, science, history, all the
30
things
seconds.
that I did not like, and I still don't like math, but it was not about exposing children to items that many families believe cross the boundaries. So I urge this board to consider the policies, and let's just kind of work as one so we can get this done. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you to all of our public speakers tonight. That was very informative. And we'll now move on to the consent agenda. At this time, any board member may request that any item on the consent agenda be removed from the consent agenda and be considered and voted on separately. At this time, are there any items board members would like to pull from consent? Seeing none, are there any abstentions?
I will be abstaining, President Erdenberger, from Claim C, item I-9, from my role on the Omaha Public Schools Foundation.
Thank you very much. So done. Now I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda that is before us.
So moved.
Second.
I believe that was moved by Ms. Magnuson and seconded by Dr. Holman. Roll call, please.
Holman,
Aye.
Radke,
Aye.
Magnuson,
Aye.
Snipes,
Aye.
Thielen,
Aye.
Erdenberger,
Aye.
Bull.
Aye.
7 aye.
Thank you very much. Motion passes. Now we move on to discussion and action items. In fact, we have all information items this evening. The first will be an update about the Accountability Committee from Dr. Holman.
Thank you, President Erdenberger. The Accountability Committee met on May 5th with Mr. Kramer, our legal counsel, and members of the administration. Mr. Ray was not in attendance at our meeting as our agenda covered both the superintendent evaluation and the superintendent contract. First, a few comments regarding the superintendent contract. Mr. Ray's current contract runs through June 30th, 2028. Similar to most superintendent contracts in Nebraska, our contract with Mr. Ray is considered a revolving contract. While it was initially drafted for 3 years, it is a general practice with the superintendent contracts for the board to review each year to consider any salary increase, amendment to terms, or conditions and extension. The annual review is facilitated by the Accountability Committee. We have communicated to Mr. Ray that soon the board will be discussing the contract and invited any input he would like to offer regarding the salary or terms. Once the committee receives any input from Mr. Ray and finalizes its review, We will share any recommended updates with the board. The second topic is the superintendent evaluation. As shared at the May 4th board meeting, our committee has reviewed the timeline and requested staff to prepare the survey and evidence approved by the board in early fall. Our committee is scheduled to meet again on May 26th before the evaluation survey launches on May 29th. We will provide any updates at the next meeting. This concludes the Accountability Committee update. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Holman. Does anybody have any questions about the contract or the evaluation and the schedule that was outlined in that report? Good to go. Thank you very much. Next, we will have an update up from the Curriculum Adoption Committee from Mrs. Kratke.
On May 5th, the Curriculum Adoption Committee met. All members of the committee were in attendance. Ms. Almanza and Mr. Smith participated by teams. That means online with us. You may recall in April, I reported on the recommendations for the high school career and technical education curriculum adoptions. We approved several vendors for over 100 different classes in our high schools. At our May 5th meeting, we discussed the recommendation for our middle school elective courses grades 6 to 8. In addition to our core subjects of math, science, social studies, and English, all of our middle schools also offer electives in art, PE, vocal and instrumental music, and world languages. At our meeting, staff from Curriculum and Instruction Support shared that schools also offer an introduction class to college and careers, as well as electives in journalism, a beginning business course, and several science and technology classes, including robotics. There were 4 curriculum recommendations to support our middle school elective offerings. Global Perspectives from Cambridge University Press, Discovering Careers from Goodhart Wilcox, Computer Application from McGraw-Hill, and several offerings from eDynamics that include curriculum for journalism, robotics, and other science and technology courses and business. eDynamics is an online platform. I am wondering if we could have a staff member from Curriculum and Instruction give us a hands-on activities and to support students reading and interacting with the teacher. While we're waiting for them to come up, I will show you some of these things that we looked at. I was able to take a couple of these home, and really, they are really deep. This one is called Through Digital Discoveries. I took them with me to a couple of meetings with folks out in the community, and they looked at them. I wanted them to know some of the things that we were doing, because they always know what we are not doing. So I thought they'd be impressed, and they were. I mean, it was over their head, and it was going to take me a whole semester to learn what was in the books, because we were talking about technology, and that's where the difference comes in, because they learn easily at an early age, and they build on that. And we jump in there now, and we are behind. So I just wanted to go forth now.
So yes, Mrs. Kratke, we have Deanna Moise here this evening, she is our Executive Director of Secondary Education, and she can share a little bit with us about how our staff create learning activities that go beyond the online learning.
Thank you, Ms. Kratke, President Erdenberger, Vice President Snipes, and board members, and Chief Chisholm for introducing me. Thank you. We requested materials through this request for proposals that foster collaborative conversations among students and between students and teachers, emphasizing communication and literacy skills that support students in reading on grade level while also aligning to our elective content standards. One of the aforementioned resources is eDynamics, so I'd like to just paint a picture of what that day in the class would look like with that online platform and material and resource. Unit 2 in the E-Dynamic STEM course, which would align to our STEM or STEAM course, is titled Lesson 1 in Unit 2 is about a better design. The lesson supports students' understanding how the design process is not necessarily about finding the shortest or fastest way to an end product, but about making that end product better and better. I kind of think of it like our plan, do, check, act process in improvement science. The lesson about a better design is the first of several lessons in the unit, the outcome of which is to understand and apply the cycle to a product with a design flaw. So as the teacher plans for an engaged classroom, the lesson could come alive in a way similar to the following. The teacher launches the lesson on the design process using a few PowerPoint slides that are provided on the teacher resources through this particular curriculum vendor. The interactive classroom discussion prompts are included in these slides, and the teacher then plans for responses from the students that can include polling the students, using whiteboard responses, or doing a think, pair, share activity to engage the students in conversation. The students would then log into the curriculum online and engage in grade level reading passage. So we want to make sure that we have grade level text, whether it's physical text like the ones that you have in front of you, or a digital text in this case. So the interactive So then the online passage has vocabulary highlighted, such as iterative in this particular lesson, so that students can hover over that word and get its definition right away. To support success in the reading passage, the teacher may use a graphic organizer or other scaffold as needed to help students understand and break down the 4 steps of the design process that they're learning about. Students would then have question prompts for a small group discussion in which they utilize the key academic vocabulary that was highlighted in the reading. The teacher then asks the students to do a quick write using the prompt, I used to think, now I think, and clear success criteria for the writing would include citing evidence from the reading. Teacher is looking for students' understanding of the design process as an iterative process at that point. That writing can be done in a multitude of ways that engage the students, whether it's in their written notebook, through an online platform, whatever works in that teacher's procedures and routines. The next day, the teacher reviews the design process with the resources provided and slides, and then would move into an introductory lesson activity in which the students will work through the first step in the design process, in which they read about that they read about in the previous lesson. The steps for working through the ask and research component of the design process are outlined in that activity provided by the teacher and the resources, and the teacher would use their procedures or the activity that they have planned for the day to help students reach expected outcomes within set timeframes, and this could look like the teacher doing a short model of each step and then setting a timer in groups of 3 students, then complete the step on their own. So it's a balance between what is offered online on the teacher resources, the text at the center that is offered digitally in this case, but it's really about that digital curriculum providing the common text and structure and a launch point for the learning. But the literacy demands emerge through the teacher facilitation, that collaborative discussion between student and teacher and student, physical note-taking, and evidence-based writing and student discourse. That's an example of how that particular digital resource could be used, or we expect to be used in the classroom. Is not a logging into the app and lacking interaction between each other. So that's our expectations for this particular vendor and resource.
Thank you. These adoptions are.
Before we excuse her, can I just make sure that see if there's any questions that anybody on the board has, and then go back to you to complete your report. Are there any questions that anyone has at this point? I think I have a quick question. It's not necessarily about the E-dynamics, but earlier in Mrs. Kratke's report, she said that that schools, the reference to the colleges and careers, journalism, business courses, science, technology, and including robotics. Does that mean that those are new courses that are being added to the middle school? Is that what that is going on
No,
there?
we've had electives, and so these are electives that are currently in place, and we are wanting to make sure that we have robust text for students to ground their learning in.
Okay, great, thanks. When I couldn't tell from the report whether this was a new thing or more of an old good thing. Thank you. Thank you very much. Any other questions? Mrs. Kratke, you want to complete?
These adoptions are scheduled to come before the board for approval at the June 1st meeting. And this concludes the report of the Curriculum Adoption Committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Kratke. Does anybody have any questions for Mrs. Kratke? Nope. Then I believe the next item is a report, an update from the Policy Committee by Mr. Thielen.
Thank you, Ms. Erdenberger. The Policy Committee met on April 9th. In attendance, myself, Ms. Erdenberger, and Ms. Almanza. We continued our discussion of changes to the Code of Conduct. We reviewed a number of policies that may need updating due to changes in law. I think there were about 8 or 9 of those. We have a few more reviews to make of that before, but I think we're going to try and get those on information for the next board meeting, because some of them do have deadlines for implementation. Yeah, that was it. And it was also the graduation, so that was also one that we were changing due to law. So that was our last policy committee, and we should have some for policies on information at our next meeting.
Thank you. That was April 9th or April 14th?
The last meeting?
Yeah.
Did you have April 14th?
That's what I've got, but I just want to make sure our record's correct. It was last Thursday, wasn't it?
Sorry, it was. I didn't update my header. You're right.
Okay.
It was May.
Oh, duh. It is time for it to be the end of school. We are having trouble keeping our calendar straight. Thank you very much. The next item is a report from the Legislative Committee, which would be me. We met on Friday, and now that I know that that was the 14th, we met on the 15th to conduct our annual debrief from the recent legislative session. On balance, we were generally pleased with how the session played out. Some of the items that were of the greatest concern to us did not, in fact, get legislated, and that was very helpful. We were more strategic in this cycle, and we used our political resources. We spent a lot of time in January, if I remember, going through hundreds of potential bills and identifying which ones we would be focusing on as having the potential for the most significant impact on the district. We felt this approach benefited us, and we want to thank those board members. That would be Dr. Holman and Vice President Snipes, who sat through that meeting, and all of our staff and our lobbying team, who then mobilized and were extremely helpful in sharing our message. We had several of our staff members go down to Lincoln at some point. Dr. Chisholm was particularly thrilled to be able to be part of one of those visits. But it was important. It was important. We strategically picked who could make the most impact depending on what the legislation was. And we got very good reports about your participation, Dr. Chisholm. Yes. And unfortunately or unfortunately, we note that there's likely to be a number of pieces of legislation that will, even though we dodged that bullet this year, will return next year. Specifically, we're waiting to see what kind of a spending cap or levying cap, growth cap, is likely to show back up again next year. And it is possible that something resembling the third grade retention legislation that existed this year may be revealed in some different iteration next year, so we will be prepared for that. As you can see from the report that Mr. Thielen gave about the policy committee, we've already begun the process of incorporating elements of this session's legislative changes into our policies so that they will match what the law says we're supposed to do. I mentioned in my last report that we are monitoring several interim studies. It'll likely be several months before the various committees decide which ones we'll actually have hearings on, and therefore, and whether we will be invited to participate in those hearings and or provide data, and we'll keep you updated on that as those interim hearings and reports are developed. We will be meeting again on August 14th to begin planning for our fall get-togethers with senators in anticipation of the next session. We traditionally, as you all know, meet hopefully with members of the Education Committee and also members of the state legislature who represent OPS districts. Let me once again seriously thank our legislative committee, Vice President Snipes and Dr. Holman, and our lobbyists and our staff. The legislative committee is a weekly, if not twice or three times a week obligation, and it takes a lot of work, and everybody really powered through, and like I said, we were generally really happy with how many things didn't happen in this session. This concludes the report of the Legislative Committee. Is there any discussion or any questions? Seeing none, unfortunately, that might be the end of the meeting. Oh my goodness. Okay, there is one receipt of reports on the agenda for the evening. The Head Start Monthly Board Report for March of 2026, which provides us with the monthly Head Start information regarding attendance and enrollment, meal counts, in-kind amounts, health requirements, policy council minutes, delegate reports, and program information summaries to maintain a communication structure to support oversight responsibilities as stated in Head Start Performance Standard 1301.2. There will be no closed session this evening, and so our meeting will conclude right now at 7:22. Thank you, everyone, for attending and for some of our public commenters for sticking around. Thank you.